I'd say yes.
I'm on the far north coast of New South Wales, and Charmaine's a few hours south of me, and I think it's known as the mid-north coast. But here we are in Australia, and I'm a New Zealander, and she's a South African. So this is pretty classic. I love it. A little multicultural going on. So hi and welcome, Charmaine. Thanks so much for joining me. And I'm super excited to get to know a little bit more about you and to share it with everybody that's watching and listening later on, etc. So thanks for being here and welcome.
Thank you so much, Carly. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So we're going to chat a little bit about your business and how you got into it and all that kind of stuff. And so are you ready to get started? Shall I just jump right in?
Dive right in.
Perfect. All right. Well, my first question is then, tell us how you got into business and what is it that drew you to it?
What got me into business was by pure fluke. I was a PA for a mighty woman. At that stage, she had retired. I had moved into an administrator, and as I said, by pure fluke, one day I had a pamphlet that came across my table that said personal training, and I looked at it and I just knew this is something I want to do. And I started doing night classes and Saturday morning classes to be qualified as a personal trainer first. And eventually, from doing personal training, I did that for 10 years. I attended a Pilates class that was run at our gym. And I was hooked because I thought I was fit. I thought I was strong. I've been teaching, up to 6 to 8 classes a day. And I had this earth quiver and shake. And I thought, oh my goodness, what's going on? Am I that bad? But I was hooked. And I thought, that's it. I'm doing this. And I eventually, long story short, had moved, retired from personal training because I had been doing that alongside my group classes and Pilates, and started my own studio. And it was really great because I was in an old house I had a homeopath, I had a upstairs we had somebody else, an architect, so it was really good. The business, that little house, and with all the people that we were sharing the space. And when we immigrated to Australia, it's something that I've always, wanted to do is continue teaching, because I believe that Pilates, regardless of how, your experience or how you look or how you feel, Pilates will make you feel fantastic. And that is something that I find that I'm over 50, that if I don't do Pilates, I'm really broken. So so it's been really good that, the same feeling that, as I said, how I got going with it, by thinking that I was fit and strong, to find out there's something else. And it's so much more gentle than all the other things that I was doing. And just wanting to do that and share that with other people.
How extraordinary to be in that scenario where you're a personal trainer and super fit, and then go, wow. And I'm sure back then when you first got into it, was largely on the floor. Is that right?
Yes,
there was the floor. And all the things. And wow, that's super amazing and exciting. So how long ago was it that you first got into Pilates, or first tried Pilates?
I would probably say about 18 years ago.
Wow.
So
And when did you start your business?
So my business was, I was, what are we saying, from in Australia, it'd be 10 years ago. So I had a home studio in Newcastle before we moved to Port Macquarie. And it was really great because it was the house that we were renting had a space above the garage, and beautiful, very, very big open space. And I was teaching there. And obviously, when we moved to Port Macquarie 6 years ago, I had a studio. And unfortunately, when COVID hit, I had closed the studio. And in March of 2020, one of my clients contacted me and said, do you think there's a thing called Zoom? If you would be able to, could we not do online classes there? And I thought, well, I can teach, but so it's been a a long, like literally pivot from being face to face and hands on to finding out what the Zoom is and how to teach, and so it's been great.
So good. So then, was the pivot for you with the pandemic starting and everything just pretty simple, really, like just less in person and more online?
Yes, I think it's definitely less in person, but I'm still, we're down, going 2 years, and I still feel like I lean into a camera and want to adjust someone, and like, can you feel this? So mentally, apparently, I haven't caught on.
Wow. And so what's the secret tricks about how you do it? So do you set up in a room and just, people join and off you go? Or do you have some clever ways of adjusting the camera and things? Or how do you do it?
So when I'm teaching, depending if I'm teaching for example, if a mat class, I would have my a camera set up on a desk that will be on a tripod, and that same camera would then be feeding through to a laptop. And as I would be going from, for example, standing down, moving down to the floor, I would then move, the camera would stay in place. And I would sometimes just say to them, I'm just tilting the camera, or I'm just moving the laptop to the next layer so I can see them. And that's how we carry on. There are days where I might swing the whole thing around and put the tripod in a different position because I need more space. The room that I use is tiny. Well, the space that I use in the room is tiny. So we make it happen.
That's the beauty, though, of Pilates, isn't it? Is that you just need this one little area. That's so great. So do you have machines and all the different bits and pieces? I guess, are they reformers and things, or what kind of paraphernalia do you use?
So I don't, I have a reformer, you can see in the background, but that's for my personal use. I don't teach on reformer. Everything that I use is basically, mat Pilates. So you basically need a mat. The ladies that I've started out with only had a mat. Some of them don't have mats, so they're on their bedroom floor, sitting room floor, provided it's carpeted. And then since then, I have added in different size balls. We've got, small sand balls. We've got 30 centimeter size balls to challenge, and it helps as a prop. Then we've got the very big Pilates balls, which is such fun. I giggle like a schoolgirl every time I'm on it. I think we might have hand weights, but it's, when we started, they didn't have anything. I had it. And then as we got going, I started feeding off my, studio equipment that I had. In other words, all small stuff that I gave to them.
Fantastic. Wow. And so are people staying with you? Like, are you teaching a course, like an 8-week course, or is it just an ongoing thing and they just join whenever they can, or how do you run it?
Okay, so the people that I've had in the studios have been with me, so they continue on the classes a set day and set time. Other people we've had in last year, we ran a 6-week healthy aging course, of which I worked with. I collaborated with the other lady from our Positive Passionate Women Business is Corinne, a nutritionist, and Corinne obviously did the nutrition part, and I did the exercise part. So we ran that, and it was educating women, saying that you can be able to exercise whether you have 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and 30 minutes, or an hour. So, and these are the exercises you can do: Pilates and strength training. And then from that, I'm running a new one. I'm hoping in February, where to say to people, if you at home or that you're working from home or whatever it is, we're going to be running a back to basics, so absolute basic mat work, where you learn how to do what are the words, how do I find the different areas, how do I breathe. So that is something I'll be running in mid-February. And then those people will stay with me for probably about, I'm hoping the course will probably run about 8 weeks. Then they will progress into a beginner's group. So, and then we'll just carry on.
And then can they just continue and continue so that there's
And
no
continue.
reason that you need to stop if you find that you just love it?
Yes, absolutely. And there's no, it's so convenient because I've had women say, I've literally rolled out of bed, I'm on the floor, and then we start. So if they've had a bad night, or the one lady that we had in the course last year was unable to get on the floor, so we did her entire, her 6 weeks we did on her bed. So, a lot of people cannot get on the floor, but, that's the beauty of mat Pilates on your bed, because you can do everything. So
yes,
it's
fantastic. What made you decide to specialize in over 50s Pilates?
I think one, obviously being over 50, I can feel what's happened in my body. And if that's the way I'm feeling, I think a lot of other women would also. Sometimes people say to me, I'm too old, and they'll be in their like mid-50, and I think that's not old. My great-grand was 92, and that's old. Well, mature. And so I think my biggest thing, I think, with women being 50 was I believe that they've given so much of themselves, they've worked hard for their family, that they've worked hard for their work, and they get to a point in their life where suddenly everybody else has been taken care of, but they've been neglected. So I believe that through educating them, and again saying to them, you're also just as important as everybody else that you're taking care of. And I think if they fill their little tanks up with some time for themselves, so whether you feel good in your body, then that will flow over to their family and other people. So I just want to let them know that they're important, and that I see them. That's and that they do need to take care of themselves, because if they don't take care of themselves now, in 10 years or 20 years or something like that, what we don't do today is going to affect them then. So when you finally do retire, or if you're retired now, you can't then say, oh, but I've had a bad back, or or I can't do that anymore because my back is this or this or this. So
gosh, so interesting. And so what's one tip that you would like to share about, for people that have never done it before, no idea, and listening to you right now, they're like, oh, I actually really think that I could do with that. So what's a tip about how you would even begin? I don't mean necessarily connecting with you. I just mean, how do you decide from going from nothing, sitting at a desk all day, to, okay, I'm actually going to get into it and be on a mat and go for
it? I think the biggest tip is, if you're, it starts with, Pilates is not just what you do on the mat. It's what you do. You take Pilates with you through everything that you're doing. So even by sitting at your desk, is you know how your body feels at the end of the day. You think, oh, my neck's very tight, my lower back's really sore, my right shoulder, whatever that is. So even before you get on the mat, to be connected with your body and to know how that feels. For example, and adjust little things in your desk. For example, turn to face your screen. Pull your keyboard closer to you so that you don't strain your shoulder. I've got bifocals, and I often find that I do this. I lift my head up to read, but then I want to know why my neck is sore. So, so get only reading glasses, and, not for short or long distance. So it's having to modify little things that you do. How you sleep, are you curled up? Have something between your knees and iron out. So little things that you can do, this prepares your body and makes you feel better. Having a little stretch first thing in the morning on your bed, or having a little stretch at night because you're hugging your legs into your chest while you're lying on your bed before you go to bed. Little things like that is just, it takes a couple of minutes to go through like mind mapping and say, oh, this is really sore. My neck is really sore. Let me stretch it now, because as you're going to get up and go do something else, you've forgotten about yourself already.
Yes.
So,
Gosh, I think for so many of us, we get to, whether it's an age or a stage or I'm not sure what, where we really just forget about ourselves. And we're busy running our businesses, working, raising families, doing all the things. And so, yeah, that when you just said about that checking in and doing that body map, what a great thing to do. And, every night, every morning, boom, scan it down. How's it feeling?
That's right. And when you find out how you're feeling, you can adjust everything else and say, well, my neck was skewed, so I am actually twisted. Let me just turn my desk and let me adjust this. And, so things that you're doing often for long periods of time, adjust those and see how you feel. And, if bring your mouth closer so that you don't hike your shoulder up. Or you don't stretch, or you don't poke your chin out, or something like that.
You're making me super conscious of how I'm sitting right now. I'm like, oh, I never thought about the mouse. That's a good one. What about the keyboard? That's good. One of the things I did recently, maybe, I don't know, midway through last year or something, I went to a new optometrist. I'm going to give him a shout out. It's Stephen Brady at Byron Bay Eye Care. How amazing. Honestly, compared to my other experiences with optometrists, it was a whole nother ballgame. But he asked me about my lifestyle, which none of them before had done. And so he said, what do you do? I said, I really only need to use them for work. I don't use them for long distance or anything. And so for reading from my phone, from my computer, etc. So he measured where I sit at my computer. And then he got me reenacting it in his office. And then he got me showing him how I hold my phone and all of that. So mine are also bifocals, but the top half is for the computer and the bottom half is for my phone. So I cannot tell you what a massive difference that has made to, the way that, like, honestly, I used to have headaches all the time. And now barely ever. It's quite amazing the difference that it's made. It's super impressed me. So little things that you can do. So makes a really big difference. But I'm going to think about that tonight when I go to bed with my body check-in. I think that's a really wonderful reminder to us all that it's time that we started doing that and putting our bodies first. And you're right, you can't complain about it down the track if you actually haven't done anything to help yourself along the way. It's a big one, isn't it?
And it doesn't have to be hours and hours and hours or something. It's just one thing you can do. If your legs are tired because you've been standing for long periods, lie on your back and put your feet on your headboard. So turn around, put your legs on the headboard or on a wall, or if you can get onto the floor and your lower back is sore, lie on the floor, get your butt right close to your bed and drape your legs over and let them just flop. And they call it an astronaut position. So just one thing you can do for yourself.
I'm going to get
make a difference.
Yes, I'm into it. Thank you. So what about a top tip that you might be able to share about being a woman in business, particularly a business that's online?
The tough one. I think a woman in business, especially online, the two things that I definitely believe is that not to look at other people. So, for example, I don't look at other models where they have this, let's say for Pilates, because she is a model. She is obviously particularly for that, for that advert. Women, not everybody looks like that. The normal average woman of an Australian woman has got these long legs that end up in her armpit. So, and I don't compare myself to other instructors because, they've got a different lifestyle to me. That is something that I always cut myself, that I don't compare to somebody else, especially the skinny, malingy little, the models. And the second thing is that I definitely am aware of is to be kind. We were taught if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say it. So those are definitely two things: is don't compare yourself to other people and be kind. Be kind of, be be kind in what you say. And if you can't say something nice about somebody else, especially online, don't say it.
Oh, I just think those are such perfect tips. Really, especially in this day and age with social media. God, there's some horrors going on, aren't there? In what people can say, and with no thought to how that affects people when they turn the computer off or shut the Facebook app down or whatever. And wow, beautiful, beautiful, powerful words. And I particularly also love the one with don't compare yourself, because that's very, very easy for us to do. And, you know, get into that scarcity mindset and then you're off down a terrible path. So really keeping it positive, keeping your blinkers on, focusing on what you know. And yeah, oh my goodness, thank you so much. That's great. We've got somebody that has put a comment in the chat in one of the lives where it's going live, and he said they're lonesome, Lenny. I have a double hip replacement and I'm always stressed out and uncomfortable. And they're saying hello from across the pond. So what have you got for a suggestion? Would that be, for example, one of the ones where you're lying on your back with your legs up, or what would you suggest for Lenny for a place to start?
Well, first of all, Lenny, I don't know how long ago your hip replacement was. I would imagine for you, for example, sitting and loading your hips be very painful. One of the things I would say is if you take some time during your day to actually have a rest, if you are able to if you are home, to lie down and have a supported pillow behind your head and put your legs up and over. If you have maybe a couple of pillows to stack them, and so you drape your legs over. It will also take pressure off your hips and your lower back. And then when you also mentioned that you were stressed, I know that pain often feels like a black cloud over your head. The good thing is that you have got a double hip replacement. You know, you're bionic now, and at the moment your pain might be what makes you feel you're stressed out because of pain and being uncomfortable. But there's something to look forward to, is how good you're going to feel once you get going. The other thing is also to heal also means that you've got to be walking, and you know, not to be stagnant and sitting and lying down, because that is you know, your hips are not going to be moving if you are. Because of pain, it's like a vicious circle. Because of pain, you don't want to move because it's painful, so that increases your pain. And also, I'm hoping that you have been able to do some physio, and that you are seeing someone that can be specialized for double hip replacement, and that you listen to your body. So if they are telling you to do something, work within a range that is not painful. In other words, you obviously got some limit of pain or some measure of pain, and to listen to your body and be very careful with what you're doing. So if it is to a point of excruciating pain, then speak up and saying, well, that's, you know, that really hurts. Don't be quiet and think that, oh, I don't want to do it because they've told me to do it and I must do it. You know, no one knows your body better than you do. So speak up.
That's so great, Charmaine. Thank you. And I'm sure Lenny has loved listening to that. But the make sure you listen to your own body is a really, really important one. But then you also said nobody knows your body better than you. And that's so true in so many ways. I've definitely had experiences with that where they say, look, nothing's showing, so it must be fine. And I'm like, it's not. So you just got to keep persevering until you can get, you know, find the thing that's going to find the answers or make it feel better or whatever it is. So thank you. Those are some really wonderful, wonderful tips to we can hopefully Lenny can put into action. But for all of us listening, I've got some really beautiful nuggets there to go away with. So thank you. So Charmaine, it was just great having you join me. I really appreciate your time. And I would love you all to be able to connect with Charmaine. So if you look in the caption, there's her Facebook and her website. So remember, this is Charmaine Voigt from Inhouse Pilates. She's based in Port Macquarie, but because she's online, you can connect with her from anywhere. So it's really just such a pleasure and a privilege to have you in the Positive Passionate Businesswoman Huddle. And thanks again so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun. And thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Totally. Thanks, Charmaine. And thanks, everyone, for listening. And yeah, great to be here with you again. Thanks, everyone. Bye.